Good morning. Today is Sunday, the 7th of June, and I'm sitting on one of the levels of the exotic rooftop restaurant. I've brought my bottle of Marmite with me, and I'm going to ask them for some toast. My coffee is here already. I hope you've got your coffee or tea with you and ready for today's reading. There are a lot of fans going on around me because it is extremely hot at 9 o'clock. It must be in its early 30s already, and you're going to see maybe a little bit of the screen moving because of the stand. It's being blown around by all the fans that are going on. It's a little bit difficult to get this reading out. This is my third attempt. I've had a bit of a disastrous landing in Delhi. I was moved to 3 different rooms yesterday because 2 of the rooms they put me in had drilling from the refurbishing that they were doing in the room next door, and then they moved me to the room directly underneath the room that was being worked on. So I didn't get much sleep when I needed it yesterday, and I only ended up coming out of the hotel in the nighttime when it was a little bit cooler, but then very, very difficult to breathe. I don't know how people in Delhi survive this heat. A lot of the shops are closed during the daytime and only open in the evenings. I don't see as many dogs on the streets during the day in months like this either. And unfortunately, I don't see the water bowls and the things you would expect for the animals that are roaming the streets here. But one of the messages that came through for me this morning was conditioned servitude, and I think especially for women, maybe women my age, friends that I know that have been speaking to me about the stuckness that they are feeling, the need for change, the need for transformation of the mind, and how conditioned we are into a belief system that is not serving us. And these limiting belief systems of women, middle-aged women, I need to take a pause and a deep breath for myself, because I recognize in my own life how I've been limited from breaking through the ceiling of the conditioned belief systems to get to a point where I can confidently deliver these messages to you. And the way that I feel about conditioned servitude is directly related to man and how I was influenced in my life by men, whether it be my father, whether it be the education system that I was brought up in, the cultural and religious doctrines, and a woman's place in society. And I think a part of me has always taken the back seat, because traditionally a woman of my age would be married. I have been married twice, once in my early 20s and again in my late 30s. And unfortunately, I entered both of those relationships as a broken person. And I've seen every relationship in my life as a lesson, because a lot of those relationships had massive transformational effects in my life, and I've taken on those lessons. I have transmuted the pain and the suffering from those relationships. So I'm going to do today's reading, and I'm going to find out why these two words, conditioned servitude, especially for women, is prevalent here. Those whose wisdom has been rent away by this or that desire go to other gods, following this or that right, led by their own nature. Well, here's an important line right from the beginning. That word rent. And how do I feel about renting a part of myself? There were no contracts at the beginning of the relationship saying, this is my promise, this is my truth. There was certainly no vulnerability, and maybe 20 years ago, 30 years ago, it was all those Disney movies that I used to watch as a child. Snow White, one day my prince will come. I think many women from my generation did think that a man was going to come and save us. And perhaps we can acknowledge that in hindsight and forgive ourselves for renting ourselves. Sometimes for very little, or almost nothing, or nothing at all. Whatsoever form any devotee desires to worship with faith, that faith of his I make firm and unflinching. Here is a sample of the most wonderful Krishna approach to any problem. A defective or negative aspect of our life, an imperfect or distorted vision of the truth, are not allowed to pass unnoticed, but they are not condemned outright. Everything has its own place in creation. That which we call good, evil, or neutral. It is easy to idealize, but difficult for many, and nearly impossible for the vast majority to put this concept into practice. How often do we find the disastrous and arrogant attitude on the part of some religious leaders who profess to monopolize the truth, whilst vehemently condemning all other faiths? What a colossal waste of time. What a loss of a great opportunity to embrace all and thus reach perfection. If only all religious leaders would mind their own business. There is no harm in glorifying their own viewpoint, but they should not bother to judge others. If they can, they should help those treading other paths, encouraging each in his own path, instead of disturbing the faith of others, proselytizing with fervor, and then leaving them untended and in the lurch. The world would be a much happier place for everyone to live in if all were left to worship God in their own way. This understanding is the divine attitude. Krishna commands, strengthen everyone in his own faith. Never disturb anyone's faith. The truth is that God, or the infinite, pervades the entire universe. There is nothing and nobody outside of it. Hence, verse 21 tells us, whatever the form in which the devotee wishes to adore God, let him do so. Even the materialistic who, encouraged and motivated by his own desires and cravings, worships power or wealth, will eventually, in God's good time, discover the futility of such worship and arrive at the pinnacle of self-realization. A few seeds of divine thought sown in him will germinate in their own time, but an immature, premature leap will only be ineffective. A few seeds of divine thought sown in him will germinate in their own time, but an immature, premature leap will only be ineffective. Wow. Imagine if we had these amazing words of wisdom taught to us and explained to us in the years of growth and development, when it really, really matters, when we are trying to instill ourselves with divine truth that will give us the foundation for a divine life. So I think this reading today will resonate with you in different ways. And I think in any of the areas of your life where you are feeling stuck, unmotivated, desireless, where you might feel that there is lack or a thought process that just continuously limits you because of doubt, fear, it's so important for you to return to these words of truth. Is it possible that you could let it all go? The role playing, could we see each other as a divine masculine, a divine feminine with the attributes that will help us to merge our gifts in our relationships with one another, whether there be an agreement of intimacy or friendship, so that we don't rent ourselves out. Without value. We all hold divine gifts from Spirit. Imagine if the first point of introduction was, what did God give you? The divine gifts of the Spirit. What makes you so special? And to acknowledge in each other that speciality. We all deserve to be here. We all deserve to be enjoying this experience and having fun with it, because we are at the center of our own universe. And we all have that ability to create and recreate. I have wiped the slate clean in my life so many times, not just in my relationships, but also understanding that for me to change and transform and to innovate and to release myself from the pain that I've experienced in my relationships. I'm watching business owners opening up their shops, sweeping the road in front of their stores, taking pride in their space, taking responsibility. I think I would love to just have one of these nooks on the street. Wouldn't it be amazing if that was our right? Small to medium enterprises here, there's so much competition. But to some extent, the caste system works. Because everybody gets a chance. From the tuk-tuk driver, to the chaiwala, to the street sweeper. It seems that everybody is a lot more open to help one another here, to be more understanding and patient. And the honking, well, that's just another language of its own. It's just saying, I'm here. Watch out, this is my space, be careful. And the head wobble. That also is another language of its own. I don't know. Yes, maybe, okay. Or not today. Let's try. Let's try and find new ways to communicate with one another. And this is how I want to communicate with you, through the divine guidance in this book. I am being compelled and called to share these words of wisdom with you. So this is Sunday the 7th of June reading. But these readings can be listened to on any day and can be incorporated in any order. So I hope that you will share with anybody you think might need to hear these words of divine insight and inspiration from God and Spirit, who lives within each one of us. The great I Am pervades all. Thank you so much for being a part of this experience with me. I'm so honored. The divine in me honors the divine in you. Namaste.